In Kenya, 1 in 2 children suffer from cavities. Brushing with Pepsodent removes bacteria and repairs tiny holes before they become cavities. Because every smile matters.
That's when she replied, "Give me one good reason to stay with you." Nikamtumia 100 reasons to be my boo. Akanisho unabonga sana kwa text lakini in real life when I'm timid. Hapo nika get minutes ya kupaint picture vivid. Akasema ati I'm in demand. Unadhani DM yangu ni MD? Kumbe nilikuwa nishasotiwa na 100 MB.
Call, SMS and browse from only 10 shillings with Telkom. Now that's power. Telkom, moving with you.
Unajua katika hii maisha lazima ufanye na loan. Ndio vijana wengi wanaongopa loans. Na ukiongopa hii loan uta succeed kwa maisha. Mimi naitwa Joseph Kioko Mwema, nafanya kazi ya transport mchanga. Kwa sasa niko na lori 8. Kama sasa sio pesa ya faulu, ile nilianza kidogo kidogo singekuwa na hii nyumba. Juu hii maroni ni wao wamenipea. Ile pesa nimepata kwa maroni ndio naendelea kujenga nayo. Hata hii personal car yangu ni wao wamenipea. Niko na medical cover ya UAP. Magari zangu nimechukua insurance na UAP through Faulu Bank. Faulu wamenisaidia sana. Niko na accounts 3. Moja ni yangu personal, nyingine ni business account, nyingine ya kijana yangu junior. Tumemfungulia account na msevia kidogo kidogo. Ile kitu iko ni kuwapongeza na kusherehekea hiyo miaka 175 wakisaidia watu waendelee hivyo na wafanye mzuri.
This is NTV.
Good evening. Glad you could join us on the 13th of January. This is what we have lined up for you on NTV tonight.
Tonight, the first victim in the Kiambaa killings is laid to rest.
Kinyajui ndiye alikuwa msaada wa hiyo nyumba.
A family mourns losing its breadwinner, James Kinyajui. Plus, Nyamira student chases a teacher with a panga, and Kisii schoolboy pleads guilty to attempted murder of his teachers. Eldoret students skip school to get high. Our children are endangered and dangerous. Also tonight, it's hours to D-Day. Uganda's internet connectivity cut as the country heads to the polls in one of the most heated elections yet.
Sasa hivi tunahofia hata tuweze vuka Uganda maana wamemwaga silaha za vita. Nasema ati sisi twende tutupe kura tukisha kuvoti atwende nyumbani. Alafu hiyo kura nani atachonga hiyo kura?
And yet another plunge into the ocean at the mouth of the Likoni Ferry.
Sasa mwenye ferry akatoa ferry kutoa ferry, hiyo gari kaingia kwa maji.
Mikasa kama hii inapatia opportunity ya watu kujaribu kutumia bridge.
Then, before rescuers could take a break, a security vehicle lost its brakes.
NTV Tonight with Mark Masai.
Good evening, and my co-presenter in sign language is Flora Atieno. To our top story tonight, and the gardener and construction worker who was brutally murdered in Karura, Kiambu County, along with 4 family members by the main suspect, Lawrence Warunge, has been laid to rest in Gadhiga Cemetery, Kiambu County. NTV's Seth Olale also looks back at the horrific murder that took place at Wangonyu village based on alleged confession from the main suspect, as well as information gathered by investigative agencies.
The first victim of the brutal murder, James Kinanjui, a gardener and construction worker, was earlier today laid to rest in an emotional send-off at the Gadhiga Cemetery in Kabete, Kiambu County, where the family of the deceased demanded justice.
Kinyanjui ndiye alikuwa msaada wa hiyo nyumba, hata kama alikuwa na shida yake, kwa maana hata nyumba alikuwa amefungiwa hali alikuwa anakaa, lakini alikuwa msaada kwa mamake. Na sisi kama wakaji wa Kinago tungetaka haki itendeke juu ya huyu mtoto, kwa sababu kusema kweli yeye kifo ilimkuta hivyo tu.
James is survived with 1 wife and 2 children. Family and friends shocked at what happened as authorities try to piece together the evidence that led to the killing of James and 4 other family members last week. When Lawrence Kinanjui visited his family's home on the night of the 5th of January, the series of events that took place that night would leave the country in shock and 2 families in mourning. Lawrence's alleged confession gave details into the vile murder of the 5 victims, 4 of whom were his own relatives, and James Kinanjui, who was living in the family's compound and used to call Lawrence his friend while he was still alive. It is at the main gate of the Warunge family home in Wangunu village, Karura, where the main suspect, Lawrence Warunge, reportedly commenced his killing spree on the night of 5th January. Once again access inside the compound, he entered the servant quarters of James Kinanjui, a manual laborer living within the family's compound. Lawrence is said to have caught Kinanjui, who was by then having supper, by surprise, hitting him on the head with a blunt object, stabbing him several times before finally slitting his throat with a knife. Next, Lawrence went to the main house where he found his mother alone in the kitchen. A brutal fight ensued, with Lawrence breaking his mother's hands before stabbing her in the chest and later slitting her throat. Lawrence's little brother, a 13-year-old Christian Jenga, is said to have ran down the stairs to his mother's rescue, but he was also stabbed several times by his older brother in the corridor. His father, who was upstairs in the master bedroom, apparently heard the commotion and jumped off the balcony and ran to the main gate to escape. Lawrence, however, caught up with his father in the compound and reportedly stabbed him 34 times before slitting his throat. Finally, Lawrence went back into the house, combing through it to look for his 13-year-old cousin, Maxwell Njenga, who was hiding under his bed in his bedroom. Despite Maxwell going on his knees and begging for mercy, he was also stabbed and had his throat slit. After the horrific murder, Lawrence is said to have changed his blood-stained clothes, packed them in a bag, as well as mobile phones, shoes, and the murder weapons used. 22-year-old main suspect Lawrence Warunge, a student from Mount Kenya University, and his girlfriend Sarah Mudhoni are currently being held at the Gigiri police station after they were arraigned on Monday at the Kiambu law courts. The rest of the victims, the father, mother, brother, and cousin, are set to be buried on Saturday. Seth Olale, NTV.
Well, thank you to Seth Olale and Churchill from the graphics team, just to show the event that took place on that day, as has been found out by the investigators. And this is something we're still following up. And Ngina Kirori will actually be joining the family, the Warunge family, as they lay the 4 members of the family that were killed on that day. Now, momentarily, we could go to Uganda now, where a lot of attention will be not just within the region, but internationally, excuse me, as the parliamentary and presidential elections take off tomorrow. Now, just to read the opposition leader's tweet that was 2 hours ago, and he says information coming in is that the regime in Uganda is going to order for a complete shutdown of the internet in a short while. No matter what they do, the world is watching, he tweets. Now, these were orders that the government gave to the telecoms there, the internet service providers, that is, in Uganda, to cut all internet provision before the elections, that is tomorrow. Now, tension continues to brew there as the presidential poll set for the 14th of January has now arrived. The situation, so dire, has now seen some Kenyans living in Uganda, as well as Ugandans fleeing into Kenya for their safety, uncertain of what tomorrow holds. And now, in what many consider to be one of the most competitive elections held in Uganda, there has been heavy military presence witnessed in the country having reports of internet blackout ahead of that poll.
The hustle and bustle along the Busia border, as some are seen with bags ready to move to what they consider safer ground.
Kama ni mtoto anapigwa risasi, kama ni kuku inapigwa risasi. Sasa tutafanyaje? Tutaenda wapi? Si afadhali tuhamie kwa nchi jirani ya Kenya.
Twende tutupe kura, tukisha kuvoti atwende nyumbani. Alafu hiyo kura nani atachonga hiyo kura?
Some claim that the situation on the ground is dire.
Sasa hivi tunahofia hata tuweze vuka Uganda.
With military soldiers being deployed in plenty and with the recent attack witnessed on presidential candidate Robert Changulani. Locals in Busia say they started witnessing the migration into Kenya 2 days ago through the corridor routes. With the night having fallen on the eve of the polls, unease seems to have crept in after the internet access in the country being choked. According to reports, this follows the government having ordered for the shutting down of social media sites, access as well as some of the messaging applications on Tuesday night. Helen Aura, NTV.
And just seeing here from our colleague at NTV Uganda, Sudhir Byaruhanga, who has tweeted this in the last few minutes, actually 10 minutes ago. There is a nationwide internet shutdown in Uganda a day before the elections, and many of you might ask how come he has tweeted this. Well, many have been able to use a different platform to be able to bypass that blockade on the internet. Speaking of colleagues such as Sudhir Byaruhanga, they're all set and will be covering this election, and this is something that you can look forward to. Here's what they have prepared.
It's been said that a week in politics is a lifetime. Could the opposition upset the apple cart, or could the predictable pattern continue as the NRM takes lock, stock and barrel of the 2021 presidential and parliamentary polls?
Could this election be based on issues, or will it pander towards sowing seeds of fear, ethnic jingoism and nitpicking? Can the scientific polls be the touchstone of a free and fair election?
Our unrivaled cross-platform coverage will help audiences discern spin and fact-check statements and numbers.
We shall assess what this means for the farmer, the businessman, the investor, and the youngsters who believe that the ballot is their beacon of hope.
And for the candidates ready to lace their boots and ascend to the greasy pole, we promise to provide a level platform to each aspirant to sell their message across the audiences.
We promise to be here on the thrilling frantic night when vote tally commences, and our fidelity to the truth will be incontrovertible.
Decision 2021, reaching every pocket of the country to bring you the general election coverage with depth and nuance.
We'll be carrying that live as well here at NTV Kenya. What they'll be showing will also be showing live from there, from the ground as it happens. Back home, this is one that might make you wince. Two high school students on different occasions and in two different counties violently attacked their teachers. One is currently in custody whilst another is being held pending sentencing. Anita Nkonge with the details.
Police from Mango Police Station, Nyamira County, are currently holding a Form 2 student who attacked his deputy principal with a panga. The student, who's from Mokwerero Day High School, allegedly attacked the teacher for not allowing him to get his old exercise books exchanged for new ones. Police were informed by members of the public that a student had stormed the school compound with a panga. On arrival, police were informed that he wanted to attack the deputy principal, who managed to escape unhurt. Preliminary investigations indicated that the suspect was spotted sharpening the panga by his neighbors for the better part of the previous day, but his motive was not known. This incident comes barely a day after Kisii High School students stabbed his 2 teachers. The 17-year-old has since been arraigned in Kisii and pleaded guilty to the attempted murder offense. The magistrate ruled that the suspect be released on a 50,000 Kenyan shilling cash bail or a bond of 100,000 Kenyan shillings. He is to be remanded at Manga Children's Remand Home pending the next court session set for the 27th of January 2021. The Teacher Service Commission has condemned the attacks on teachers in Nyamira and Kisii, calling on Kenyans to help guide the children better. Anita Nkonge, NTV.
What is happening to our children? A conversation we should hold as a nation, and urgently. To the situation on health, attempts between the Kenya National Union of Nurses and the Council of Governors to end the strike appear to have hit another dead end. While the Council of Governors blame a lack of resources on their refusal to sign the health workers' return to work formula, the Nurses Union accused the governors of doublespeak. However, a section of healthcare workers in Mombasa returned to work today after agreeing on fresh terms with the county government, raising hopes that other counties will follow suit. Gina Kirori has the details.
A tough-talking Council of Governors backed their earlier stance on the ongoing nurses' strike earlier today, stating healthcare workers who do not return to work will face a number of consequences as the court held that their strike is illegal.
No worker should expect to walk out of their jobs and then walk back when they do so wish. The county governments are not a revolving door. We are monitoring and shall circulate the names of the employees who have been terminated on account of indiscipline.
The governors accuse healthcare workers of manipulation.
Then it's marks of something like blackmail. Because if you have a pandemic where no other countries in Africa, where you don't have health personnel going on strike.
Nurses state that until their terms are met, they will remain on strike. They accuse the Council of Governors of being hot and cold on the matter.
Chair wa Council of Governors, huwezi ongea sehemu mbili za mtomo kwa wakati mmoja. Wakati mwingine unasema kwamba hatuna pesa ya kuweka bima. Wakati mwingine unasema tuko na bima. Kwa nini hiyo mikataba ambayo ni ya bima isiweko kwa meza?
But in response, the Council of Governors say that they lack the resources to meet the nurses' demands.
The Kenya Union of Clinical Officers signed a return to work formula with the Ministry of Health on 1st January 2021. The Council of Governors was not consulted prior to the execution.
As far as the Ministry of Health is concerned, this is out of their purview.
We will not interfere. We cannot in law go and tell a county government whether to hire or to fire any of its workers, let alone the healthcare workers.
According to COG, another spanner being thrown in the works of a resolution to the perennial issues is the upcoming election within the health sector.
Na ujue pia saa hii tuna election ya union. Umeangalia hiyo yote, umeona? Pengine hao watu wanaangalia wanataka wachakuliwe tena.
Kusema kwamba ni siasa kwa wale wa nurses ambao wamefariki mpaka sasa 34 ambao ni wa serikali ni kama 29, kwamba hiyo ni siasa, huo ni mchezo.
But the proverbial light at the end of the tunnel may have been offered today as doctors and clinical officers under the Mombasa County government have finally agreed on a return to work policy, helping services resume at public health facilities in the county. The agreement between the Mombasa County government and healthcare workers may pave the way for the resumption of services in other counties, but the stalemate between the Kenya National Union of Nurses and the Council of Governors rages on, leaving patients in the waiting room. Gina Kirori, NTV.
It was a day of tragedies at the Likoni Ferry channel, or almost tragedies. At least, thankfully, no one was grievously hurt. And another vehicle plunged into the Indian Ocean this morning. Even before that truck was pulled out, another car lost control and overturned. The incidences have raised concern over the safety of people, especially those that use the Likoni channel. Fatuma Bugu has the details.
For the umpteenth time, operations at the Likoni Ferry came to a standstill after a truck plunged into the Indian Ocean. The Kenya Ferry Services says the driver of the loaded truck lost control while boarding. The driver of the truck, which was transporting tiles from Tanzania, managed to jump off the truck before it was partially submerged.
Nimekuja na gari taratibu mpaka nafika pale kwenye ferry. Nikaingia gari zile tairi za mbele. Sikaingia pale kwenye ile bati la feri. Nikaenda kwa dereva wa feri. Nikamwambia, mzee, gari imekwama pale, umesikia ule mlio uliolia? Akasema yeye, nimesikia. Usitoe feri, sababu ukishatoa feri pale hii gari itaingia.
Sasa mwenye feri akatoa feri, kutoa feri, hiyo gari ikaingia kwa maji. Lakini sisi tuliko faster, tukafunga kamba pale, tukaizuia kwa sababu gani nimebeba tensi, tukaona inaweza ingia kabisa huko kwa sababu pale kuna mtelezo, ikabidi tukaifunga na kamba pale.
The incident caused a huge traffic snarl up at the crossing, with many forced to use the Liwatoni bridge.
Gradient ya ramp huku iko juu, hiyo ni kitu ambacho kiko wazi, kila mtu yakiona. Sasa hiyo ni kitu ambacho pia labda tutaiangalia, na hiyo slope iwe kama tutaweza kuipunguza. Mikasa kama hii inapatia opportunity ya watu kujaribu kutumia bridge na kuona uzuri wake, kinyume na vile labda wengine watakuwa wanaogopa maji.
Just before the truck was pulled out, another car from SGA company coming from Uganda, South Coast, lost control and overturned. The pickup brakes are said to have failed, with the driver swerving to the left to avoid colliding into the cars ahead. One person was injured, while 3 people survived with no injuries. This comes just 4 days after a bus owned by Pullman Safari lost control and plunged into the ocean. Fatuma Bugu, NTV, Mombasa County.
Let's hope this is the last of such incidences we're reporting. A check of the COVID-19 cases in the country, and the national caseload has risen to 98,555 after 123 more people tested positive for the virus. This is out of a sample size of 4,948. Of the new cases, 111 are Kenyans and 12 are foreigners. The virus continues to affect more males than females, and out of the new infections, 74 are male and 49 are female. The youngest patient is a year old and the oldest 85. Meanwhile, there have been 412 recoveries in the last 24 hours, bringing the total number of recoveries to over 81,600. The Ministry of Health has reiterated that if any parent or member of a household has tested positive, children from that household must be kept at home under observation and not sent to school to avoid the spread of the virus. Kenya has unfortunately lost 4 more patients to coronavirus, raising the death toll to 1,720. Condolences to the families that have lost their loved ones. We'll take a break here on NTV tonight. Stay with me.
Get fresh, gotta get fresh.
Down is no boom boom pow, down is boom boom pow. Smell fire na uchafuzi na zibi na improve downy. Protect nguo zangu na nukia niko safi. Lazima niwe fresh na down is boom boom pow. Boom boom pow, down is no boom boom pow. Smell zote na zi boom boom powerful freshness. Down is boom boom pow. Nani 15 bob too?
Ah, Helen Paul.
Hello, madam. Would you like to join us on this mission?
Yes, but how?
Just one question for you. How do you keep your toilet clean?
I use regular detergent and bleach for washing and removing yellow stains. I've been using it for years.
Oh, madam, the regular detergents and bleach are used for washing clothes. To disinfect your toilet properly, you need Harpic 10X. It is specially made for germs and stains removal. Harpic's thick formula settles on stains and gives 10 times better cleaning compared to regular detergents and bleach.
Wow, now I'm convinced, Helen Paul.
Really?
Yeah.
Now that she's part of the mission, the next house is yours.
Disinfect and protect your home with Jik. Jik kills 99.9% of illness-causing germs. Disinfect floors, kitchen and bathroom surfaces, and wash white clothes, towels, and dishcloths with Jik bleach. Just Jik it.
Kuchukua selfie ni kuchukua control ya future yako. Buy an Quick or Insti HIV test kit from your local pharmacy or through My Dawa. Hurry and get yours today at 150 Kenya shillings for a limited period of time. To talk to someone on how to use the test kits or interpret the test results and what to do next, call 1190. Amua kujua. Chukua selfie.
A lot came. We had a fight, and he even threatened to resign.
You should have listened to me and told him before Juan even had a chance.
He fired me!
What?
So he can get me out of the way and keep you for himself.
You said that you didn't love me, that what you felt for me wasn't love, and that you could have easily felt it for anybody,
try
right?
Try to understand me.
A lot came.
Select a plot of value-added land within Garden of Joy Gated Community of Koma Kennel Road, Machakos. Now kuamue January na 21K with Optiven. Call us now on 0790 300 300.
Welcome back. And more than 20 students from various schools were today arrested in Kamkunji Estate in Eldoret in an operation meant to ensure that all students report back to school. Some of the students were found in alcohol drinking sprees, and as Gabriel Kudaka reports, senior government officials have come face to face with the harsh reality of the plight of learners whose schools have poor infrastructure, some of whom are being forced to learn under trees.
Back to school for students, but these ones were thrown in the back in the boot of this police vehicle. More than 20 students were apprehended in Kamukunji Estate in Eldoret, having escaped school. Some stayed home and others were found imbibing in alcohol selling dens. Movie watching rooms and individual houses were targeted in the raid that started at 8 o'clock Wednesday morning and lasted more than 3 hours. Away for school fees.
Ukienda ukisema serikali ilisema nipeni nafasi kidogo. Wanakuambia serikali ilisema ikiwa Nairobi. Haikusema ikiwa hapa. Kama una mtoto pelekea serikali.
Sasa nikaambia teacher wa hiyo shule sina pesa kuingiza mtoto. Waliruhusu tu asome alafu ndakuwa napeana kidogo kidogo. Walinifukuza na mtoto.
Mpaka sasa hivi wengine walipoteza kazi zao, wengine walipoteza biashara, na kwa sasa hivi mzazi hana mbele wala nyuma.
And at Salabani Secondary School in Baringo County, class is in session. The school has only 2 classrooms which have been allocated to Form 3 and 4 students. The rest of the students have to contend with these. Senior government officials, among them 3 principal secretaries, came face to face with the stark reality of the challenges bedeviling some of the schools in the region.
It's actually a hot season, and most trees are going to shed leaves, and they will not get enough shade.
With no dormitories at the school, boys have to use these military tents, while girls opt to operate as day scholars.
Students are living like military officers, staying in tents which you cannot even stay inside these tents during daytime. And because of this corona issue, piling students in one such small tent is equally risky. So mine is just to request the Ministry of Education to fast track the release of this money to our schools.
Government has been able to release 19.5 billion shillings, broken down into 4.6 for primary schools and 14.9 for secondary schools.
Gabriel Kudaka, NTV.
Some politics now. Irungu Kang'ata's days as the Senate Majority Chief Whip may be numbered as a fresh push to de-whip him gathers pace. For 2 days, the leadership of the Jubilee Party sat with the leadership of Parliament to deliberate the matter, and signs are emerging that the Murang'a senator may not survive an onslaught mounted on him. NTV senior political affairs reporter Kennedy Muredi has the details.
Just 8 months after assuming the senatorial majority chief whip position, Murang'a Senator Irungu Kang'ata may be facing the same fate as his predecessor Susan Kihika for the very reason not towing the party line. NTV understands there is a sustained push to elbow him out of the Senate majority whip position, especially after a press conference he held on Monday, where he reiterated his views about the waning popularity for the BBI initiative in the Mount Kenya region. Those baying for his blood argue he is now speaking the same language as those in Deputy President William Ruto's Tanga team and believe the leakage of the letter was intentional.
The SG has just come out.
Earlier Wednesday, the Jubilee Party held a meeting with the leadership of both houses where, among other things, the Kang'ata matter was discussed. This follows another meeting that was held on Tuesday evening in Westlands.
There have been several emissaries who have been sent to me, urging me to either resign from the position or I recant that letter. But I've told them in clear terms that I will not recant that letter.
Kang'ata would have been part of this press conference, especially on an issue of this magnitude. The party leadership present, however, decided to focus on other matters, downplaying the Kang'ata issue.
That is a matter for the party to make a decision over it. We know that. That is it.
Contrary to what you're hearing, there's a lot of work going on, and by the time we get to Parliament, Kenyans will be talking a very different thing about BBI and the benefits for Kenya in terms of the bigger picture.
On Monday, when Kang'ata addressed a press conference at Parliament buildings, he stood by his letter to President Uhuru Kenyatta on the status of the BBI's acceptability in Mount Kenya.
The only thing I cannot do is to resign pursuant to pressure. But I can tell you, if I get a good reason which would then justify my resignation, I would definitely resign.
Since you've seen...
And you see, one of the things I will have to consider is whether the party leader still has the confidence in me. He has not called me. He has not reprimanded me.
The plan is to now shop for a replacement as the Senate resumes with Kirinyaga Senator Charles Kibiru being touted as a possible replacement. Kennedy Muredi, NTV.
Kennedy Muredi brings us to our next break, and business news is up next.
Welcome to our new office. Wonderful sight. Just imagine 1, 2, 3, 4. This is where the parking is, and then the warehouse front door here. The reception here, and the fridges here. The lorry's entrance there, and their exit there. One way only. What is it?
So where is the building?
Fast, stress-free construction. Get your factory-made buildings in 10 weeks with SafBuild. Order yours now. SafBuild, a quality building solution from MRM. Rena vegetable oil stays liquid to the last drop, so it's smooth cooking from start to finish. Now with an easy-to-pour cap, Mapishi Poa, Madishi Poa.
Fun and food got together beautifully at GMC Place. Enjoy our succulent meals in a serene setting with a varied choice of fun games for the little ones. Cup it up with a cuppa or a cocktail, all available to your taste. Discover the joy of a warm pool by diving into the Blue Oasis heated pool. Or at GMC Place, the fun never ends. Make your reservation today on 0701 560 560.
Do your gums hurt?
Yeah.
Does your toothpaste contain sage, eucalyptus, myrrh, chamomile? All that in one toothpaste? Yes, try Colgate Herbal. Colgate Herbal contains nature's best herbs and Colgate Fluoride technology to give you strong teeth and healthy gums. Ah, Colgate Herbal. Let's go. Colgate Herbal for strong teeth and healthy gums naturally.
Good evening and welcome to NTV Business. I'm Dan Mwangi. Now, a year after President Uhuru Kenyatta directed Treasury to allocate 660 million shillings to purchase surplus rice in Kano Plains and Mwea, rice farmers in Ahero, Kisumu County are staring at losses due to lack of ready markets. According to the farmers, over 10,000 bags of milled rice in the stores risk being destroyed by rodents and pests if they are not quickly sold. In March 2020, farmers faced the worst loss after the raging waters of River Nyando destroyed 7,500 acres of paddy. The farmers are now banking on the Kenya National Trading Corporation to buy their produce. Reaching for a comment, the corporation's Western Region Managing Director, Timothy Mirugi, said the COVID-19 situation has disrupted the rice market. I beg your pardon.
Nikaleta hapa NIB. Watu wa KNTC wamekataa kuchukua mchele. Mchele tayari imeshagwa, iko rice mill. Imekwama hapo. Tangu August up to date. Sijapokea pesa.
I borrowed money from AFC. About it was 580,000, and the interest is now rolling. We don't know how we shall pay them, and I don't know how when.
Instead of dealing with the farmer directly to purchase this rice as 45 shillings a kilo as earlier agreed, the Kenya National Trading Corporation has decided to deal with cartels.
The United Nations Development Programme's Human Development Report of 2020 has identified equity, innovation, and stewardship as the key pillars for steering the world towards avoiding economic, social, and environmental catastrophes that they are bound to face if they don't change course. Now, the annual report this year celebrating 30 years since it came into being, and Alex Mwangi has those details.
The human population on Earth is approaching the 8 billion mark. Owing to failure to coordinate and adhere to sustainable lifestyles, it is putting destructive demands on the planet.
Humans have made incredible progress, but our actions, particularly our dependence on fossil fuels and material consumption, are driving not just climate change and biodiversity collapse, but ocean acidification, air and water pollution, and land degradation. We are destabilizing the very systems upon which we rely on for survival at unprecedented speed and level.
Even though there is warning after warning of the adverse effects that humans are having on the environment, as well as the need to redistribute resources more equitably among the human population, the political elite in various jurisdictions are still treating these matters with low priority.
Sometimes African governments are caught in a situation where they must think about how to take care of present-day realities and circumstances and challenges that face their own citizens, rather than think about 100 years to come. And the West thinks about 100 years to come. They plan ahead about 100 years from today. But African governments are usually caught planning for every 5 years because politics and governance means everything to them.
The United Nations Development Programme's Human Development Report for 2020 identifies equity, innovation, and stewardship as the foundation for recovery if humans are to apply the brakes on various facets of destruction on the planet. With the struggle by many to just get by day, one of the biggest challenges is indifference to the enormity of the problems at hand.
Studies suggest that 80% of people already think it is important to protect the planet, but fewer than half of those are actually likely to take any action. Why? perhaps because we are influenced by the social norms of those around us. Yet, these can change very quickly. Just look at the many millions of people who now wear a mask every time they leave their homes. This was unthinkable just a year ago.
Scientists have also raised the alarm on the effects that humans are having on animals, with the path towards the extinctions of some species now on an upward trajectory. Alex Mwangi, NTV.
The amount of loans lent out by financial institutions to the private sector could grow by double digits this year, owing to increased lending appetite by banks and renewed borrowing by businesses looking for working capital to recover from the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. In its economic and investment landscape outlook for 2021, ICEA Lion Asset Management says the coronavirus pandemic has partly debunked the common perception that SMEs represent high-risk borrowers and expects banks to increase their lending appetite for SMEs this year. In the 12 months to October 2020, growth in private sector credit stood at 7.7%, supported by a recovery in demand with the improved economic activity following the easing of COVID-19 containment measures. Over the last 5 years, Kenya has suffered a sluggish growth in private sector credit, which touched a low of 2% in October 2017.
That we saw that banks incurred more loan losses from corporate loans as compared to SME loans. We saw a higher level of non-performing loans arise from the corporate borrowers as opposed to SME borrowers. And I think that provides a learning opportunity for banks that the traditional high-risk perception that SMEs have suffered from over the years may need to be adjusted, and perhaps banks need to look at SMEs with new lenses in light of their relative resilience displayed by the SME loan books of banks during the pandemic.
As we close business, just a random point is that they say that the Japanese, the Chinese have likely to be having some relationship with the Bantu, specifically the Kikuyus, because of how they speak and even probably the names. And speaking of names, the foreign minister from Japan is called Motegi. M-O, not M-U. Just a random point. Good night. I'm done.
Breaking news from Molfix. Let's see what they're developing right now.
Molfix pants with anatomic fit technology. New Molfix pants, an invention from babies for babies.
You should also try Molfix.
That's when she replied, "Give me one good reason to stay with you." Nikamtumia 100 reasons to be my boo. Akanisho unabonga sana kwa text, lakini in real life when I'm timid. Hapo nika get minutes ya kupaint picture vivid. Akasema ati I'm in demand. Unadhani DM yangu ni MD? Kumbe nilikuwa nishasotiwa na 100 MB.
Call, SMS and browse from only 10 shillings with Telkom. Now that's power. Telkom, moving with you.
Kenya's largest export destination, with volumes worth 64 billion shillings per annum. A major source of Kenya's 143 gigawatt hours worth of imported electricity annually. One of two countries with which Kenya has mutually waived work permit fees for citizens, thereby liberalizing movement of labor across borders. What's at stake for Kenya as 18 million Ugandans head to the polls this Thursday? What does Uganda's 2021 general election mean for an increasingly integrated East African market and Kenya's position in it? This Thursday, NTV brings you round-the-clock, in-depth coverage and analysis of Uganda's election and what it means for Kenya.
Welcome back. The earliest Kenyans can expect to have a new Chief Justice and President of the Supreme Court would be May this year. This is according to Judicial Service Commission Acting Chairperson Mercy Deche, who says the process of recruiting the new CJ will begin once a vacancy in the office has been gazetted following the retirement of Chief Justice David Maraga. Vincent Oduor has that full report.
Third transition we are having.
On Monday, 11th January, the official departure of former Chief Justice David Maraga marked the beginning of the search to succeed him. Currently, the Deputy CJ Philomena Mwilu is steering the judiciary as the acting Chief Justice. The office of the Chief Justice, according to the Judicial Service Act, is now required to declare a vacancy in the office not later than 14 days after the position fell vacant. Thereafter, the Judicial Service Commission will publish the advertisement of the vacant position.
It's a process that takes between 3 and 4 months. Once it goes out, the applicants are supposed to be given 21 days to put in their applications. And after the 21 days, the Commission has 14 days to go through the applications for completeness and compliance, and within those 14 days then that is when the Commission will shortlist and communicate the outcome again in the media.
Those who will be shortlisted will have another 14 days to prepare for the public job interview. But even before that, there will be 30 days for conducting background checkups and getting feedback from the public on the shortlisted candidates. After the interviews, JAC will then nominate one candidate whose name will be forwarded to the President for appointment and vetting by Parliament.
We'll be looking at the professional competence, their intellectual capacity, because this is in the justice sector, so we look at competences in that area. Integrity is key. Also, there is the issue of their commitment to public service.
The Council of Governors today held a luncheon in honor of Maraga and lauded him for leaving a legacy of protecting the rule of law and justice. Maraga's tenure was characterized by strained relations between the judiciary and the executive. A move that saw the executive through Parliament significantly cut down funds allocated to judiciary, largely strangling its operations. Vincent Oduor, NTV.
David Maraga will go down in history as Ulemse, as they say colloquially, a Chief Justice who made landmark rulings such as the overturning of a presidential election, the first in Africa, and as his time as the country's Chief Justice came to an end, NTV spoke to members of his family in Nyamira County over their famous relative and his tenure.
He rose up the judicial ranks to reach the topmost position, Chief Justice, and even at some points, fearlessly going head-to-head with the president, Uhuru Kenyatta. And at the end of his tenure at the helm, David Maraga's family in the village of Busosi, West Mugirango, Nyamira County, say they couldn't be prouder of him.
Kama kazi ikipatikana, serikali inaweza kuangalia alafu imupatie kazi mahali pengine.
Reflecting on their famous relative's time in power, the family members, like so many other Kenyans, remember his possible, most controversial moment, the time he annulled the 2017 presidential elections.
Maraga thinks he can overturn the will of the people. We shall show you in 60 days that the will of the people cannot be overturned.
We shall resist. Sasa resisting yake naonekana ni hii maneno ambayo kazi yake, lakini alisimama msimamo ya kazi, alisema hii kazi lazima aifanye vile ambaye inatakikana.
Tunashangaa atalifisti nini kwa maana huyu aliona kile kilikuwa kitatendeka na akarekebisha vizuri.
David Maraga has said he wishes to retire peacefully.
Tumemkaribisha nyumbani sana, akuje na mapenzi yote na sisi tuko pamoja na yeye.
We appreciate as the all of Kenyans, we appreciate for the work he has done, na tunashukuru Mungu kwa vile amemlinda, amemaliza muhula wake na amani, and we want to urge the Kenyans wafollow hiyo example ya justice. Let us be honest and sincere to every work we do.
Maraga served as Kenya's Chief Justice for 4 years and hung up his robe as he turned 70, the constitutional age a CJ must retire from duty. Anita Nkonge, NTV.
Retire well, CJ. Now, the political leadership at Kapedo is to blame for propagating violence in the quest for supremacy at the border region between Baringo and Turkana counties. This is according to Rift Valley Regional Commissioner George Natembeya, who was responding to accusations by Turkana Governor Josphat Nanok that the security agencies are to blame as they have allegedly been colluding with the perpetrators. Bridget Ngana reports that amid the battles, security officials assure that calm has been restored.
For the past 2 days, unease and violence have reigned in Kapedo, grounding learning for more than 900 pupils and students in 4 primary schools and 1 secondary school. These events eliciting sharp criticism from Turkana Governor Josphat Nanok, who has since accused security installations in the area of aiding and abetting the recent unrest in Kapedo, which has left 1 person dead and 3 injured.
The national government is not serious about this problem. Essentially, it is telling us what they are doing is to support the Pokot militias. I do not know why the county commissioner in Natembeya should be occupying office when the GSU officers who have been entertaining armed militants in a government security camp.
But the Rift Valley Regional Commissioner George Natembeya argues that Sunday's incident was instigated by a cattle rustling feud between the Pokot and Turkana communities.
We cannot be partisan, and that one will not do. If you are a thief, you are a thief. There's no security officer who's going to fight on your side. You can go and talk and talk and talk and cry. We will not do it. We will not do it. And we are going to assess situations as they come. We are not going to be manipulated. Yeah? So you cannot be shouting loudest without even condemning your own people who went to carry out those the stealing, because they not stolen yesterday. We will not even be having this issue.
The back and forth between part of the leadership in Kapedo and the security officials comes barely 2 months since the national government and the National Cohesion and Integration Commission led campaigns to end the sporadic intercommunal conflict that has plagued the area for years.
Political careers are threatened every time there is peace, but they will not tire trying to bring them on board. Because at the end of the day, people are going to change their people's mindset. Are just the leaders.
A coordinated security operation is currently underway in Laikipia County and is to dock next in Baringo County, with sights set on ending the spate of banditry in the area. Bridget Ngana, NTV, Nakuru.
Bridget Ngana brings us to the next break. Sports is up next with Aida Waringa.
Malkia siku njema anatunukiwa offers kila siku.
Piga *444# utunukiwe Credo double.
That's when she replied, "Give me one good reason to stay with you." Nikamtumia 100 reasons to be my boo. Akanisho unabonga sana kwa text lakini in real life we ni timid. Hapo nika get minutes ya kupaint picture vivid. Akasema ati I'm in demand. Unadhani DM yangu ni MD? Kumbe nilikuwa nishasotiwa na 100 MB.
Call, SMS and browse from only 10 shillings with Telkom. Now that's power. Telkom, moving with you.
Oh, yani aje, mino jonte fresh. Junu transform go ordinary za mtush. Zenye ziuka mna hii harufu ya bail into the freshest igi kosi yote. Siri ni hii real mpya ya pink. So clean, so fresh. Ma customer unaisana na hii story. Ninatumia aerial touch of down mpya tu.
Along came love. We had a fight, and he even threatened to resign.
You should have listened to me and told him before Juan even had a chance.
He fired me!
What?
So he can get me out of the way and keep you for himself.
You said that you didn't love me, that what you felt for me wasn't love, and that you could have easily felt it for anybody,
try
right?
to understand me.
Select a plot of value-added land within Garden of Joy Gated Community off Koma Kennel Road, Machakos. Na ukwamue January na 21K with Optiven. Call us now on 0790 300 300.
A very good evening to you. Time for the latest in the world of sport. I'm Ida Waringa, and preparations are in top gear for the 2021 World Rally Championship Safari Rally Kenya that's slated for June 24th. Now, the organizing committee gave a sneak preview of its preparedness to run a world-class event following a simulation display of the safety, medical, and security aspects at the Kenya Wildlife Training Institute in Naivasha. The event was graced by top government officials led by Sports Cabinet Secretary Amina Mohamed and WRC promoter experts. The rally will start in Nairobi at the KICC. The competitive sections will be around Naivasha, along with a power stage at the Hell's Gate National Park, where the finish and prize-giving ceremony is also planned.
We're hopeful that by May, 1st of May, we should be ready. And I'm looking at Phineas to nod. We should be ready with everything set.
And to make sure that we check everything and ensure that everything is up to the required specification, we're going to run the Africa Rally Championship in April, and the Africa Rally Championship is going to give us a feel of our roads, a feel of our timing system, a feel of our medical and safety prepared.
Great, and NTV Sport will definitely be on that build-up as the months go by. Kenya Ports Authority's eyes are firmly on the FIBA Africa Club Championships in Cairo, Egypt, with the women's basketball team in pre-season training. It's the first time the team is in training since the break brought about by the coronavirus outbreak. Apart from the continental event, KPA women are also preparing for the Kenya Basketball Federation pre-season tournament that will be in Nairobi on January 30th, ahead of that league kickoff on February 6th.
Of course, this is a good preparation for us. The championship will be in March, so being in camp and having the pre-season preparation, this is where we are building our conditioning and fitness, and we are working on all aspects of the game.
Tutaweza kubuild hiyo chemistry, na since tuko young players, tutaweza kupatia teams zingine a run for their money.
Definitely, and much more on that tomorrow too. The English Premier League, where Manchester City is currently up against Brighton at the Etihad. Arsenal host Crystal Palace tomorrow, and Tottenham play Fulham in the late kickoff tonight too. Manchester United, who are top of the English Premier League, that is for the first time in 8 years. Paul Pogba's second half volley was enough to give Manchester United victory at Burnley and send them 3 points clear at the top of the Premier League. United dominated the contest, in which Burnley failed to register a single shot on target. That was until stoppage time. In other games, Sheffield United beat 10-man Newcastle 1-0 to register a first league win of the season, and Everton beat Wolves 2-1 away.
Starts the move, he wins the header. Fernandes plays it out to Rashford.
Great, and of course it's that big one on Sunday between Manchester United and Liverpool. Do you think United have it in them to get a result? Do let me know at Ida Waringa on Twitter. To the La Liga, where Atletico Madrid stretched their lead atop the standings to 4 points with a 2-0 win over Sevilla. Diego Simeone's side took the lead when Angel Correa fired in after receiving a pass from Kieran Trippier, who was back in the team after his 10-week ban for betting breaches was suspended. Saul Niguez ensured victory in the 76th minute with a thumping effort. It was the first defeat in 10 games in all competitions for informed Sevilla, who are 6th on the table. Atletico now have 41 points from 16 games, 4 clear of second place Real Madrid, who have played 2 games more. In the other results, Granada saw struggling Osasuna 2-0. And to the United States, where disgruntled superstar James Harden say the Houston Rockets are quote-unquote just not good enough after the team's second consecutive blowout loss to the Los Angeles Lakers. Harden had 16 points, 7 rebounds and 6 assists as the Rockets were simply blown away 117-100, with the 31-year-old's frustrations boiling over in what was a dramatic night post-game. Harden has been pushing for a trade out of Houston for some time now. Now, Lakers' LeBron James led all scorers in the game with 26 points, 8 assists and 5 rebounds, while Anthony Davis dropped 19 points, 10 rebounds and 5 blocks. Much more action with the Lakers on again at 4 a.m. East African time. That will be against the Oklahoma Thunder. Those results tomorrow.
Cousins on its 7th pick in 2013.
That does it for sport tonight. And Mark, over to you. But you know, they say Manchester United fans are particularly insufferable. I think they have showed that to be the case on the timeline today. But over to the Arsenal fan now.
Man, united we stand, divided we fall. That's all I'm going to say. Thank you, Ida Oringa, for that. Just to remind you as we wrap it up, and thank you to Flora Tieno for the sign language interpretation. We will be live with Uganda Decides, the coverage of the presidential and parliamentary elections that will be taken off or starting tomorrow. And we will be live with the proceedings from our NTV Uganda team as well from 9 o'clock throughout the day. So make sure you tune in. Have yourself a good night. I'm Mark Masai.
This is NTV. Kenya's largest export destination, with volumes worth 64 billion shillings per annum. A major source of Kenya's 143 gigawatt hours worth of imported electricity annually. One of 2 countries with which Kenya has mutually waived work permit fees for citizens, thereby liberalizing movement of labor across borders. What's at stake for Kenya as 18 million Ugandans head to the polls this Thursday? What does Uganda's 2021 general election mean for an increasingly integrated East African market and Kenya's position in it? This Thursday, NTV brings you round-the-clock, in-depth coverage and analysis of Uganda's election and what it means for Kenya.
A long game. We had a fight, and he even threatened to resign.
You should have listened to me and told him before Juan even had a chance.
He fired me!
What?
So he can get me out of the way and keep you for himself.
You said that you didn't love me. That what you felt for me wasn't love, and that you could have easily felt it for anybody,
try
right?
Try to understand me.
A long game.
Select a plot of value-added land within Garden of Joy Gated Community off Koma Kennel Road, Machakos. Now Kwamue January na 21K with Optiven. Call us now on 0790 300 300.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Auntie Lina.
Thank you for making us. Thank you for making us your favorite drive show crew. Nation FM, we love you. Oh, thank you, people. This is the podcast I'm stitching. I got you good. Nyiwa jamaa mechizi yani.
Tunajibamba na show yenyu. Muendelee hivyo hivyo.
I came to rap, you know, do my thing.
Thank you for listening to 96.3 Nation FM.
Of course, Antona Obina.
Anto and Obina.
Call him taking control. Mad love, mad respect. I
run the city.
Kevin Onyona.